Hello, welcome to Living Well today. I'm your host and guide for the next 30 minutes. I'm Angela. So lovely to meet you, to have you here in this safe space of discussing life, discussing really, discussing life and work balance and the ingredients that go into the recipe of having contentment and satisfaction, ease, and joy in your day-to-day experiences inside and outside the office. And sometimes we have episodes that solely focus on the internal dialogue and how we can reframe and shape our mindset to show up in a more resourceful and empowering way for ourselves in whatever circumstance. And sometimes we talk about those external influences, like we did last week about in episode 41 about what do you do if you don't like your boss? You love your job, don't love the boss. And today we're talking about, do you have a sense of certainty around, or lack thereof, around how well your employees are aligned with your company's mission and values? We'll talk about mission, and I often use the word promise. The promise that you're making to yourself, the promise that you're making to your employees, the promise that you're making to your customers, clients, patients, community. And mission is sometimes not real clear for some companies. They think it could be a 20 paragraph thing that hangs on a poster on a wall that kind of doesn't live and breathe as part of the daily culture. I used to work with companies where I still do envisioning sessions, but we would talk about mission, vision, and values. And I'd find that, we have a mission statement. And that mission statement, the CEO, the president, key leadership couldn't tell you what it was. They couldn't remember it. So what's the likelihood that employees could? And certainly if you can't even remember it, how are you living it? By osmosis? I mean, it doesn't just happen, right? It has to be intentional. It has to be ever present as part of the culture DNA. And so promise is a solid, certain intention for doing well, by doing good, and living that and using that as your true north, as your North Stars, as the litmus test for, are we delivering today? Are we showing up? Are we being our word? And values are the things that you place as priority, as those mile markers, as the guideposts for how the actions and beliefs and behaviors support that promise. It's the things that matter most to you, value. They have an intrinsic importance, and priority is placed on living up to those ideals. And so how certain are you that your clients understand and feel and experience, because your employees are living it, they believe it, they understand it, they're on purpose in supporting it, in being in that rowing team, on that crew team, rowing together to realize that promise every day, to live in alignment, to work in alignment. And I had this conversation yesterday with a family member who works as part of a very large organization, who's going through a lot of restructuring, a lot of closing of locations and opening of new ones. new CEO, they've changed their reporting structure. It's a lot of chaos. A lot of people who've been there a long time, who've invested their lives there and said, I've had enough. Too much change and uncertainty without enough trust built up, without enough transparency in the communication of those values and of the mission and of their role in supporting that and helping realize that, and the importance of them in helping realize that. So we're in a world of consolidation. You yourself, as a company owner, may be considering that right now, selling to a large organization. Are you contracting up front with your employees? Are you communicating with them in a real and authentic, personal way? So this comment came from my family member that when it's really it's kind of unbelievable that people are saying, what all this change, what's in it for me? How am I going to get rewarded for being who I am, for showing up with my gifts and talents? Where do I fit in to this picture? And if that's not communicated, you're going to lose great people. And it's happening every day. So we're talking about aligning with the mission and values and why it matters. So I talk about the theme of beauty, brains, and business. I've done videos. I started doing videos on beauty, brains, and business back during the pandemic. In fact, I did a 21-day journey where I did a FaceTime live every day for 21 days. I think we were at about week 2 when everything was still very murky about what we were dealing with. And I thought, I'm going to create a safe space, a place for people to feel more empowered, to feel connected, to feel together in this, and find a way through this together and talk about things that matter to us, help keep us on track as best we can, and navigate these very uncertain waters. And I asserted, which I still do today, is that it is the balancing of the beauty and the brains, the heart, which is the beauty, with the mind and your brain, literally. So I've been studying more and more neuroscience and understanding how the brain works, because we're not, as Dr. Amen would say, we're not stuck with our brain, literally or metaphorically. Don't get stuck with your brain. Can you lean in? Can you get curious? Can you better understand how it is that you're recreating patterns in your life, inside and outside the office? Can you, as a leader, understand that as you balance head and heart, as you get out of your brain and into your body and into your heart center, that's where servant leadership lies. That's where service-based life, service-based work resides. Tapping into that resource is what is your guide, your greatest guide, your compass. So it matters, though. So let's talk about beauty, brains, and the business aspect of this. There are countless case studies at this point that talk about when people feel aligned with the mission and values, when they are on purpose and they understand the why, and they're rowing in the direction that's being asked of them intentionally, and they understand the importance of it, and they're invested in that, in helping realize that together, that the productivity, the profitability, the bottom line of the company improves in lots of ways, from less absenteeism, which is one of the top things that HR directors are dealing with right now, trying to stymie that the absenteeism that's going on, right? The lost work hours, very costly for a business. The turnover. How much does it cost to retrain someone, to bring them on, to teach them, and then to lose them, and then have to go through the interviewing process again and find someone else and take a chance on someone else? Very costly to a company. What if there's an environment of, you guys are performing at a 6 in terms of innovation, creativity, collaboration, all the things that can come out so healthy for collaboration, your reputation with customers, the customer experience. What's the value of a 5-star or a 7-star customer experience to your organization? It's exponential now more than ever, and it will continue to be more so. So your differentiation, which is all important in standing out and surviving and thriving, even more so thriving in today's competitive landscape, is your differentiation. How are you going to be different in a meaningful, relevant way that people will judge you by doing business with you in the future because of how they felt about doing business with you? It's an emotional experience. People make decisions 80% with the limbic system, 80% with their emotions, and then they will rationalize it and use logic to support that decision. But 8 out of 10 times that decision, the bulk of that decision is being driven by how they feel. Do you understand how they feel? So if that's the case for customers, you can be darn sure it's the case for your employees. They're making decisions on how they are feeling every day. You know the old saying, people won't remember what you said to them or taught them. They'll remember how you made them feel. How did I feel in that job? I loved it. I loved how we were all a part of something bigger and important that mattered. So that's what we're talking about. Why it matters. Having this balance and recognition that higher job satisfaction equals better performance, lower turnover rates. And it's not just about feeling good about where you work. Of course, we want that. That's the beauty. When meaningful relationships, lifelong relationships can be crafted, that's the beauty. The empathy, that's beauty. The compassion, the giving back to the community, to helping a family that's in need. That's the beauty. The brains of it is when employees truly believe in their organization's mission, they're more likely, by 80% more likely, to go above and beyond in their work roles. Now, do you think that translates out into their home life? When they feel more satisfied and on purpose at work, do you think that translates to home? How could it not? They're the same human being. Whether people want to say, oh, I leave my work at the door, why would you ever want to leave part of yourself somewhere else? I've never understood that. And when people say business is business, it's not personal. We're human beings. We're not robots. That's what makes us the difference between AI and me, is our consciousness, our true ability to connect with all that is and all that ever will be. So why would you want to leave part of that somewhere else and show up only part you? Beauty, Brains, and Business is about integrating all of you, all of your wherewithal, all of your resources, all that makes you you, uniquely you. And you can move that up more macro to the organization, the collection of all of these, and the collaboration of all of these entities, all of these individuals, all these beautiful human beings that you call employees. Move that up to the macro and say, be all of who you are. That's what makes you unique. People don't do business with companies. They do business with people. They're doing business with your employees. So why wouldn't you want that employee bringing to bear all their life experiences, all the sadness, all the tragedy, the resilience that they have crafted, that they have cultivated up from the depths of their being to still be here. They haven't checked out. They haven't disappeared. They're showing up for you every day. Do you understand the significance of that? What it takes in this world that we have today, what it takes to keep showing up, to keep having faith that something can be better today, that I can be better, that the work that we're doing can have more meaning and create a bigger difference for all of us. What you do for one, you do for everybody. You want a more beautiful world? Help your employees' lives be more beautiful. And it is more profitable. That's what I I I still, other than to say that it's harder to do this work than it is to, and it's harder to change than to just stick in your old beliefs and get stuck with your brain, stay in the old brain. I guess in some ways it's easier. To me, it feels harder to be unhappy. And I think that there are scientific studies on this too. Like it takes more energy, it takes more wattage to be grumpy and miserable and angry than it does to put a smile on your face, even if you're faking it. And then eventually, after faking it for just a couple of minutes, it signals to your brain and hormones are released into your bloodstream to help you be happier. I'm smiling. These muscles on my face are turning up. That is telling my brain, release this hormone. And the release of that hormone makes you happier. So let's talk about a couple of companies. Patagonia, for example, the promise that Patagonia, their mission is clear. We're in business to save our planet. We're in business to save our planet. And it's not just a slogan, it's a guiding principle. It influences every decision they make. And the human beings that are on the Patagonia team, they're not just deeply committed to environmental sustainability. They're deeply committed to one another, understanding and appreciating that everybody plays an equally important role in realizing that mission, that keeping that promise. When the company decided to donate 100% of their Black Friday sales to environmental causes, employees were not just on board, they were enthusiastic champions for the cause. It's a deep alignment. That's deep alignment. It's helped Patagonia build one of the most loyal customer bases on the planet, and quarter after quarter after quarter achieve consistent profitability. But it started with the beauty. It started with the mission, a bigger picture, a bigger promise to do something massive, to realize big change for the benefit of all. And that's the guiding principle. If it's just to stuff your pockets, yeah, you'll stuff your pockets. And then what? Die with a lot of stuff in your pockets. But if you never got to see your kids or your grandkids, or you never got to support that ailing employee and her family, or help rebuild a home after one of your employees' homes burns down, if you never created anything bigger than just the stuff in your pockets and in your bank accounts, all you do is just die with stuff in your pockets and in your bank accounts, which just goes to someone else eventually anyway. So to reconnect to the most beautiful aspect that your business can have will ultimately benefit your bottom line so that the company can thrive and customers can thrive financially and your employees can thrive financially. Yeah, that's important. It's a big exchange of energy. That's why you are in business. But it doesn't have to be gained at the sacrifice of the beauty. That's my point. And that they feed one another. It's an ecosystem. where everything rises, everything improves when they're integrated. So now let's look at the research. Okay, so there's a neuroscientist called Paul Zak, and I'm reading my notes here. When employees feel aligned with their company's values, their brains release oxytocin, which is a hormone that promotes feelings of trust and bonding. This chemical reaction creates a positive feedback loop, okay, where trust leads to better collaboration, which leads to higher performance. Because this is the all of us principle, which I talk about all the time. OLIVUS. Look it up on my YouTube channel. Watch the video. The all of us principle. Because all of us together are better and smarter and more effective than any one of us. And we are living in a time that is being amplified. The need for cross collaboration, cross communication, integration, working together, leveraging the talents and gifts and wisdom and the direct life experiences of each of those individuals, leveraging it as a collective. And here's my promise to you: what you create inside your organization. So we talked about the individual is the microcosm of the organization. Well, your organization is the microcosm of your community. Your community is the microcosm of the state. The state is a microcosm of the region, of the nation, of the country, of the planet, of the galaxy, of the universe. Do you see that? That's quantum physics. What you affect right here, right now, in this moment is infinite, infinite impact. If you want your children and grandchildren to grow up in a healthier, more prosperous, peaceful world, you have to do the work for you. And if you can't do it for you and for your employees within your four walls of 50 or 500 or 5,000 employees, you certainly cannot help create a prosperous world for your future generations. It begins at home. It begins at home, inside your office, your leaders' offices, the remote workers, the community you're creating for your virtual workers. You have to make a commitment to create connection with those people that you never see in person. It's very possible. I see the feedback, the comments that I get that I'm doing this virtual show. I do live in-person workshops, but that the bulk of the people that I have impact with, that I have conversations with, are virtual by the mere nature of our world now. And I see the feedback and the comments and the lives that are being changed in those small choices. So, aligning your employees with your mission and values. Do you know what your mission is? Is it a convenient slogan, tagline on the wall that doesn't ever really come to life in the day to day? Or if it does, you know it, but do you really confidently believe that your team knows it? Maybe it does, and maybe you're just here to reinforce, right? But maybe you feel like there are some holes in the dam. Maybe you're not happy with your talent employee retention. Maybe you're not happy with absenteeism. Well, you're not stuck with it. But what I will tell you this: more data, more AI, more systems, processes, and procedures will not change it on any meaningful level. Because this isn't about data. This is about human beings. And it begins with the intention to set a promise and live up to that promise, and to be your word, and to live that promise through your actions, not through convenient emails and things that you write on the wall somewhere. That's not it. You have to be your word. You have to put into place a commitment to create actions and behaviors that support what you're promising. Okay. Create that feedback loop. This is also not, I want to emphasize, not for just, companies like Zappos who have a culture of happiness. They created their CEO, who sadly, tragically, passed away. The happiness school, sending people to learn how to find that happiness and to create a culture of happiness within their company. But this is not just for big companies, okay, and big budgets. Small businesses, small companies also reap the benefits of alignment. I worked with a nonprofit. They were struggling with high turnover, low morale, but the essence of the work that they were doing was beautiful. So there was misalignment, right? I conducted a series of workshops, worked with their teams, implemented new language, new stories, and a new promise to give them that North Star. It was already within them. Okay, that's what an envisioning session does. It just shines, but it helps shine a light. It reveals, it makes space and parts the seas for people to see what is already, the capabilities they already have, the bright spots, the things that are already happening. And then we put powerful, unique, differentiating language to that to begin to shift the stories, because shifting the beliefs is one thing. You have to live it with your words, and it has to be ever present in the stories that you're sharing inside and outside the organization, because we're wired for stories. So the quickest way to create change is to change the story and then live that story step by step, small choice by small choice, through your actions. Demonstration. Be your word. Okay. So if we look at, and by the way, with that nonprofit, within 6 months, 30% less turnover, collaboration was through the roof, and they got their act together. They then had a consistent, compelling story for high stakes conversations with important donors and sponsors. But if the story is frayed, if it's weak, if it's deteriorating, if it's not embodied, if it's not passionate, if it's not on purpose, then it's fragmented. And so therefore your profits will be fragmented. Your team will be fragmented. The customer service experience will be fragmented. You see, it's an ecosystem. It's an ecosystem. So let's talk about beauty. Talked about brains. When you're not stuck with your brain, you can rewire it, and it begins with the small choices and the words that you're using, and then those actions supporting that word begins to create new neural pathways, new habits, new beliefs. And a healthier brain requires, like anything, multiple ingredients. But any one ingredient can make a difference. So a beautiful environment. Beauty is taking care to create a peaceful, which doesn't have to mean low energy, but steady environment that people can trust and count on. The environment, the language, the level of respect that leaders show one another and show their staff. Keeping their word regarding meetings, not shifting expectations unexpectedly without contracting about that up front. Communicating and demonstrating empathy. That creates a more beautiful, loving, supportive environment. Okay. Are there eco-friendly materials? Is there natural light? Is there a chill zone? A place where people can relax and commune? There's science in this, guys, of the art that you have on the walls, the way you infuse energy into the space. I work with companies on what we call moments of truth, opportunities to create experiences throughout those pathways, literally and figuratively in the workspace for both customers online as well as in the literal space. And if your workforce is predominantly virtual, are you creating beautiful spaces online for them to commune? Relationships, fostering that trust and collaboration, that leads to beautiful, meaningful relationships amongst your team. When people feel more connected to a shared mission, they build stronger bonds. Okay. And that, again, reinforces a more supportive, positive workplace culture. Beautiful work. When employees are aligned, when they're aligned with your promise, they understand it, they're living it, they're more likely to be creative. We've talked about this, innovative, and passionate about the tasks that they're doing because it's connected to something bigger, more important than just them. It's meaningful work. That's beauty. That's beauty. And it's the higher quality work they create, the more pride they create in the work that they're doing. And then that feeds that loop of wanting to do better and better and better. Because competence, doing better and higher quality work, leads to more and more confidence. And all that selling is, and I don't care what any role within an organization, what somebody says, I'm in accounting, so I'm not in sales. Everyone is in sales all the time. And not sales like I'm going to manipulate you to get you to buy this. Sales in the sense of I'm sharing a story on purpose to help you and your company create a better workplace for the betterment of all. For your customers, a rising tide lifts all boats. We are all in sales. Sales with integrity. I have a sincere belief that the wisdom, the services, and the resources that I offer can help your life be better inside and outside the office. That's selling with integrity. And everyone in your company is in sales. So selling is no more than the transfer of confidence. There are all these sales books and I mean, it's multi-billion dollar industry, sales training, selling is the transfer of trust. It's this transfer of confidence. You can't sell trust if you don't have it. And you can't sell confidence if you don't have it. So Etsy, here's another example. Their promise, their mission, keep commerce human. And it's not just a tagline. It influences their entire business model, their entire work environment, how they treat their vendors, all of it. Etsy's Brooklyn headquarters, it's a vibrant, beautiful space. It's filled with beautiful light and lighting and colors and handcrafted items that mean something, that are made with love. In essence, the essence of love and beauty. And that inspires, that physical beauty reflects in the company's values and inspires employees to continue to create and innovate. The result, a workplace where creativity is honored, is cherished, is awarded and rewarded and recognized, and aligns and drives their success. Isn't that beautiful? Beauty, brains, and business. So when we bring together beauty, brains, and business, we create workplaces and spaces that are not only productive and profitable, but they're enriching and they're inspiring for everyone involved. Remember, when employees feel aligned with their organization's values and missions, it's not just good for them and their families. It's good for your customers. It's good for business. It's higher engagement. It means increased productivity, improved profitability. And those are just a few of the benefits. How about at the end of the day, feeling really good at the things you've created today? Intrinsically good. There was a statement I watched last night on television that said, America is great because it's good. And when we lose that goodness, we lose our greatness. I mean, that's magic. It's so true. I can feel it right here in my heart. Can you feel that? America is great and can be great again because it is good. It is inherently good. We are founded on inherently, intrinsically authentic goodness. Goodness. And that's where we'll recapture our greatness and reinvent ourselves in the image that we wish for ourselves and our children and our grandchildren. And you can do that for your company too, starting today. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're together here in this space every Wednesday at noon Eastern, on Facebook, my personal page, Angela Moonen, on the Living Well Today Facebook page, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. A thank you to StreamYard, who I'm still learning the technology, but allows me to put that out in live format in each of those places, to do what I am learning more and more to do, and that is to show beauty and to shine a light on what's possible and why it matters for living well today. Much love to you. Bye for now.